It's an interesting role, that's for sure.
It's a really good time to be, really interesting time to be thrown into things. So, you got this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
If
it
we could
is.
have a meeting somewhere, private,
Yeah,
preferably,
let's
that'd be
go.
Richard's babysitting me, so I'm coming with.
Well, representation for the mayor's office, right?
There you go. Oh yeah, that's right. Andy did want representation at all meetings. Yeah. Was that agreed upon? I missed a lot.
I don't think it was, but
Oh well.
I don't care.
Okay.
You said we gotta
I'm
hold
supposed to be
on.
with a member of PD at all times.
Stubble, do you have like a tiny little hood? What is that?
It's my tactical hoodie.
It's tiny.
Yeah, I know.
Is that just a
It means it
capsule
doesn't get
that...
caught in the wind.
Oh, I see. That's very tactical.
Yeah.
Okay. What the fuck happened last night?
All right. Where do I start? Well, to start with last night, I've got to rewind it a couple days. To start with a couple days, I got to rewind it a couple weeks.
Okay.
To go back to we got to rewind a couple of months. So it all started with the sanguine legislation when I guess the island started becoming occupied, and we had an agreement between our two, societies, governments, 4 months ago. They recognized them as a sovereign state, and they had their own judiciary, all that shit, you know, and there was cooperation, and then there'll be harboring of fugitives or transportation, exportation, anything illegal in San Andreas. And during this period, somewhere around 3 to 4 months ago, it was decided by previous Commissioner Sam Bass and Director of the MCU Brian Knight that they would implant a PD operative on the island to monitor their activity, and that they weren't jeopardizing that part of the deal, and that they weren't doing anything too crazy. It was leaked in the news thing, so I guess that was Johnny Devine. And
yeah, I didn't know that.
Only
till
Bass
after.
and Brian knew about it. Then a couple of us were briefed on it when I brought Devine into the HV2 just before I was briefed on it. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
They by themselves in Grove Street.
Apparently she was doing a raid or something. Do we know channel?
It's on channel 2. They weren't on any channel.
I think they were on a channel.
Well, they're all...
Me and Astro.
They've all been shot down.
We're going. I'm staged,
They're all
but
down.
I'm all by myself. They're all down.
Yeah, I'll be there in 20 seconds.
I guess they got the entire vault response away.
4 through 7.
Jason, right.
God damn it. Anyway,
You gotta make sure no one's trying to move shit to the...
fucking assholes.
Yeah. I just need to get some clarification of this.
So then, around a week and a half ago, the panel that's happening tomorrow with that person, that is because that person revealed to Jaeger, boss of Sanguine Island, about Divine being undercover.
What?
That's why there's a panel. I don't know the exact context. I don't know why it happened, but from what I have, something happened, and she either texted, called, or talked to him in person and said, this person that is a part of your team, your squad, your people, is actually an undercover police officer, Johnny Devine. Which, you know, broke down relations massively. And I guess with Sanguine upping aggression, and it is believed that Devine is either dead or MIA. So, yeah.
Okay.
Jaeger said yesterday that he has Devine, so he might be imprisoned on the island. But I haven't heard from him in weeks. So there's that part. And then there's, I guess, the investigation that MCU has been doing on the Class 3 manufacturing and transportation since the Roosters Rest thing kind of kickstarted it, and the use of explosives throughout the Bass case, right? You had
Hold on,
the Roosters
really
Rest
quick.
RPGs. Yeah.
Why? So, if we have reason to believe that an officer is currently being held captive by Sanguine, why was that not involved in negotiations? Why was that not brought up by us as, you have one of our people, we want to negotiate for their safe
That's
return?
a question for Axel Justice and Brian Knight.
Above
Okay.
all human cost, right?
Second question, why is the lead of a detective division doing political negotiations on an international scale?
That's a good question.
Okay, carry on.
I'll
Sorry.
be able to get to that one soon. We have. Oh, sorry. This sounds of death. We might have to go over there, maybe.
Come on.
Topic.
Everyone has eyes on the Commodus. Our doors are open. Don't see an individual.
The guy,
Alright,
the guy
so,
straight to the south, on the other
how
side of
many
the street.
active
Miller
shooters?
Brogue.
Where was I? The manufacturing of bombs. So
He's
they
gonna
had that
be
case,
using
that
bullshit.
evidence, they had that belief that the Class 3s and explosives were coming from the island, and with the threats, they used that explosive transportation and manufacturing as one of the reasons for going for this invasion, as alongside with Divine's cover getting blown.
Okay, and that makes sense.
So they go to negotiate because I guess Sanguine doesn't agree with anything, and the legislation falls apart. It gets suspended. They had the 48-hour period to go over there. Then yesterday they talked to the aircraft carrier. The Senate wasn't available to go there at the time. You know, he's a big guy, big suit, big business. So the Senator Davis trusted in the commissioner's office of Axel Justice, and I don't know if he trusted Brian for it, but he definitely did Axel. I have reason to believe that Axel probably just had Brian help him along the way, and it resulted in those two being the mouthpieces for negotiation. And I've talked to the Senator one-on-one yesterday because I'm fast-forwarding a bit, but I ordered Axel pretty much to get him in there or shit's going to go fucking wrong. But the negotiations happened. Axel wanted to do it on the airstrip of Sanguine. I told him terrible idea, because what happens if they all get kidnapped or attacked? Then we're doing pretty much a full-scale invasion, trying to get back the high command of the PD, the Senate, the DOJ, the EMS, and the DOC on foreign soil with just PD equipment. So Axel then suggested we do it in the water between the aircraft carrier and the island. I said, also bad. We need to do it on the aircraft carrier because the Shock Rangers units have established that as kind of like the no man's land, the peace zone, and the Shock Rangers have had the best rapport with the people of Sanguine this entire time.
Yeah.
So Axel agrees, and we use the aircraft carrier. Now, I'm kind of impartial on who negotiated, because at the end of the day, the Senate are the only people that could do this negotiation. And if the Senate have kind of ordered Axel to do it for them and trusted in him, then who am I to question that? However, the Senate wasn't there with the context, and it's very easy to be like, okay, let's just trust in the commissioner to do it. But this commissioner, he's only been here for a couple of weeks, and he doesn't know them. He doesn't know the situation. He doesn't know this operation. He didn't really communicate, I guess, with the Shock Rangers to get the context with everything that Moosebeard's done with him. And it resulted in negotiations just being, all right, we want to talk. We want to go to the island, and we want you to hand over all weapons, explosives. We want you to stop all manufacturing. We want you to show us where you manufacture. We're going to destroy that. And then we want to search every single inch of the island, no stone unturned. And that's it. That's all they want. And there was no, hey, and we can reinstate the legislation between San Andreas. We can have a trade agreement. We can have dual citizenship, right? There was no peace talks. It was literally just, we are here to negotiate. This is what we want.
It was demands.
They didn't even say, what do you want in return? They just said, we are San Andreas, and this is what we want. And that went in circles for 10
I
minutes.
watched the video, yeah.
So you saw it was just the back and forth and the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The refusal to get Moosebeard to talk, the disrespect for him. I did not like that. Yeah, I'm friends with the guy, but friendship aside, he's been running the Shark Rangers, and he's been the one that's been negotiating with them for months and months and months. And yeah, Davenport could sit down there and say, okay, we have the Shark Rangers and Aegis, and they're the ones that have been running the border security. Why haven't they stopped the transportation of drugs and weapons and all that shit? But it's like,
Yeah, that was kind of gross.
it's an entire island that is, I'm pretty sure it's like, what, 50-something kilometers squared. It's fucking massive. And there's water in every side. Like, it is impossible to do that border control. I was telling, we barely respond to goddamn 37 Alpha with enough units sometimes. So
And they have submarines.
Man the borders. And they have submarines. Nuclear submarines. Normal
Right.
submarines.
So,
Apache helicopters. Attack jets.
It's an underfunded unit. I don't know. That's a bad argument
so
to
you can't
make.
blame them. So then, Jaeger says it was either Axel or Brian, but he wanted one of their heads on a plate, and then he said, I would happily negotiate if we gave them one of their heads. He also requested to negotiate with Moosebeard a couple times, or anybody but them, but they said, no, we're here from the Senate. The Senate requested only us, so here we are. And I kind of understand that. And
that wasn't what was...
the senator should have been there at the end of the day.
That's not even like it wasn't. There wasn't even that communication of no. Brian just was like, "Hey, can we negotiate with that random person that was standing in line?" It was very, I don't know. It was very childish.
Well, that was
and
insulting. That was insulting to Moosebeard.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's implying that Moosebeard's some random person from the PD.
I was saying it to Etta earlier. I don't know how you can fathomly think this is not going well. We want peace. They just said we will abide by everything you just said if we talk to Moosebeard, who is, and again, I've said it before, he's a bit of a silly fella most of the time, but he locks it in and he knows the severity of the situation. He's not going to do anything stupid. They have good rapport. I just don't understand.
Moosebeard just wants peace from this.
Exactly. I just don't understand
and
the
then they
logic.
fucking call him a sympathizer. And
What?
a bunch of other insults. That's what happened in the FIB building.
Yeah.
You know, so we fast forward at 20 minutes, half an hour. We go to the FIB building. We're having a debrief, and the intent of the debrief was to communicate and talk about what happened, and to answer any questions, I guess. And they pretty much said, "Hey, here's the deal. The Senate, they've said, this place, we've looked at the proof. We need to stop it and invade it." And that was it. And then people are like, "Okay, where's the Senate? Did you hear what happened with Nikki?"
Yeah, I heard the power trip that happened with Nikki. Yeah,
Yeah, that was just one of many.
that just sounds
like-
disgusting. I'm just saying.
It was like 30 minutes to 45. Yeah, after all of this, I'm probably going to strike, if not suspend Brian. And I'm going to be talking to Reddy about Axel as well.
Why wasn't Tori there?
I don't know.
I appreciate you, Connor.
I don't know why Reddy wasn't there. Owen had a dentist appointment, so he couldn't be there. Tessa was there. I don't know.
I have a question, and this is a hypothetical that it may be rhetorical. I don't know, but if there was another if let's say who else was there? Neil? Imagine if Neil just started basically insulting Sanguine during that, and he wasn't stood next to the commissioner. That guy wouldn't be a sergeant anymore, because that guy just essentially caused a war between two nations. I don't know whether Brian should be kept in his position.
I think the argument is he acting as a sergeant, or is he acting as the director of the MCU? And if so, what is the power of the director of the MCU? And why is the chief of detectives involved in negotiations of an international threat?
Exactly.
Like, I get it, the guy's important and he does a lot of stuff, but he doesn't need to be doing that stuff. I think that should have just been Axel. And yeah, that probably would have been still bad, but I don't think it would have been as bad. Axel, he's got good intentions. Yeah, he's a suit, and he's probably only in his position because he's got a rich dad. I don't really know what he's done before, but at least, I don't know. I like Brian, but he's not the person for that situation.
And that was exactly my
that's-
point as well.
That's one of the reasons why, after going back and forth after all this shit, Doc, that I committed to being involved in this goddamn invasion effort. Because if I don't lead it, then it's going to be Brian and Axel that are leading it.
I said the exact same thing to Etta. In a roundabout words, I basically said, if I don't go, then I'm leaving this in the hands of people who don't care about the little guy. They are not going to care about just throwing units at positions and not even caring if they're going to go down or not. Like, those people die, they're not going to care. Yeah. They're going to sit in an office.
All they see is blips on the map. They don't see people in front of them.
Is this salvageable?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good news.
So, how it's salvageable is, after everybody walked out, I bumped into a lot of the HVTU. And this is their bread and butter, right? This is what a lot of them train for. This is what a lot of them come from. And most of them, I'll read out a text for you. They really fucked up that Q&A. I won't be participating either in a HVTU or at capacity on Friday unless they remedy their response. That's one of many. They completely fumbled it. They were absolute fucking assholes. Instead of trying to rally everybody against the common enemy, they made a common enemy in everybody else. Instead of trying to empower the people that are going, they tried to insult the people that want to stay behind. Instead of trying to justify their actions, they tried to insult the people that were questioning those actions. And it was a bunch of fucking shit. So I went back in there, and I shouted at Axel, and I shouted at Brian a lot. I questioned them. I contested them. And then Axel pulled me to the side for a one-on-one. And I worked with him on how to fix this. The announcement, their apology that they snuck in, they try to have it right at the bottom. I know it's like a little thing, but I made them put it right at the top because that needs to be one of the first things they read. Because to a lot of people, they were disappointed yesterday. And the brief apology in the announcement isn't meant to fix it. What's meant to fix it is when I talked to him and said, a lot of people have the issues with the fact that you're acting on the behalf of the Senate, but there's been no word from the Senate. And the only way to truly fix this is to have that Senate representation. Yes, you could be trusted by the commissioner's office, and the accusations that people not trusting you as the commissioner's office being insubordination is outlandish, because at the end of the day, the commissioner's office have power as a police department. They can order you to go to a boost, and they can order you to operate in a certain jurisdiction, but they can't order you to go to an international conflict. That's what the Senate could do. That's the difference between the commissioner's office and the Senate, and people wondering where that Senate backing is shouldn't be judged and insulted for it. And Axel instantly started blowing up the senator's state of emergency, kind of like, hey, you need to get on this stuff. And the guy actually flew in from Washington, and he was around for like 2 or 3 hours yesterday. He was talking one-on-ones. He was spamming 3-on-1, asking anybody to talk to him. He wasn't trying to sell people on the idea. He wasn't trying to convince them. He was just trying to explain what happened and trying to explain any questions. I think some people will have their worries squashed by this senator. I think some people will have them confirmed. I think it will just help with transparency and understanding why this operation is happening. Because it happened with me. I sat with the guy for 40 minutes, just one-on-one, and it helped a lot. So that's why he's going to be back today, a couple of hours after the meeting, doing the same thing. Just communicating with people. Because that's the difference between this war and the last one. I know you can compare it and you can't, all that bullshit, but we had the senator, multiple senators, at MRPD meetings for weeks, right? Preparing us. We had them, you remember at the casino? There was like 30 officers. He gave us equipment and he talked to us all, and we were getting trained on it. He was there with the negotiations at the front of the Lost compound. He shot Rudy Rinson in the face. One of them were driving around in a tank. You know, they were there in the fight. That's the difference is, I get it, there's suits in Washington and they can only do so much, but just a little bit of presence would help.
Exactly.
I think another part is what, even in the announcement from Axel, there is absolutely no motivation for anybody to do this right now, because there's no, other than the fact that they've said that they're importing weapons of medium destruction into the state. Nothing has been, like, there's no transparency right now, and that's just, it's failing everybody as a police department. Because I mean, like, one of the things is just you saying that Divine might be in prison on their island right now. That would move our current like 50-50 split of people wanting to go, that could move it to an 80% of people who want to go and save a fellow member of the police department. I just don't, and the motivations are skewed here. I mean, I had Trey Rabano call me today about how obviously he's biased.
He's apparently calling a lot of people.
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of people are calling him and Kane, stating, I don't know if that's true or not,
He sent
saying that
Snow
they
the same
don't
picture he
support.
sent you.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
Basically saying that he has a strong belief that Brian and Axel are trying to push this war for whatever reason. That, you know, that was their plan going into things. I don't know whether that's the truth or not. I mean, looking at the video, it's not exactly acting in their favor.
It's not flattering, yeah.
No. So if you've spoken to the senator, what's the senator said in terms of, is the Senate looking to salvage the situation and try and negotiate again, or is this happening?
Senate is under the impression that is unsalvageable, and he did talk to Yeager yesterday after talking to Moosebeard. He got his number and was able to talk to him for what was around half an hour. And when I talked to him, he's under the impression that Yeager will not be negotiating at all. And that if we don't go over there, then they're going to get on the offense and we're going to start getting attacked at home. So,
if they're smart, they're going to go on the offense either way. While we have half our forces fucking over on the island, then they're going to start doing shit here while we're not going to
have half. We're going to have 40%.
Yeah, I saw that this morning, yeah.
Oh, and we're also going to have 15 DOC.
Oh, fantastic. Unless, I mean, at least we can set up our own prisoner of war camp on the beach and they can operate there.
I just think
You're gonna have a bunch
communication
of
about the
combat
intentions would be
medics,
great. Like, okay, what's the plans with the Allens after fact? Like, I talked to Axel and he said you could use it for like government research or like a government facility for training for like the PD, for example. You know, like you could
people live
we
there.
could have our
What
academies there, right? Like you could sell it to people privately, or you could seize it completely, or you could turn it into a goddamn prison island and give it to the Department of Corrections. Right? There's a bunch of stuff you could do with it, but nobody knows what we're gonna do with it because they're not saying anything.
And I assume there's no military plan right now. Is there a plan?
Yeah, there's a lot of plans, but it all depends on what we get. We're in talks with, apparently Noose is back up and running, and getting supplied a lot of the equipment from the Lost War. So
What the fuck is that?
it's the old swap building off of Palomino Freeway in Substantia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff in the basement. They're requesting I create a list for Noose and the Senate, like tanks, helicopters, jets, our own NTR.
Did the senator happen to mention why Aegis is being brought into this?
Nope. No idea.
Okay. Can we ask him and find out why and if they need to be included?
It's probably the Borders,
the
Customs and Border Security Protection Act.
Which Aegis are involved with.
I forgot about that one. Hold on.
That's out the window now. They don't have to be involved anymore.
That was a lot of that was a question that came up in the little get together downstairs before. Because at first I thought they were there as a Cerberus capacity, you know, given the fact that they supply all of our military equipment, you know, and whatnot. But
and then apparently EMS
I
have
haven't
all been
really
given
bothered to look
weapons.
into what Aegis is, but it's dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I mean,
it's storefronts. It's what it's supposed. That's what it started as.
They're supposed to regulate and enforce the storefronts, yes. And then, of course, gambling should, you know, that take off or whatever. But other than that, that's it. That's why I was confused when I saw Eve there on the aircraft carrier. I was like, what the fuck?
And why didn't, like, was there no conversation beforehand to be like, okay, you know, the people who can, you know, like Andy, like, why didn't Andy get a voice here? the mayor.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
This felt like, history presiding here. Negotiations normally take days, so the fact this took 20 minutes to fall apart says a lot. And I'll be honest, watching the video, I don't necessarily think it was Jaeger's fault that it fell apart. I just don't understand that there was no mindset here. The only communication I have had with Axel was when I asked, what is the intention of the negotiations? And he said, we're looking for peace. Brian and Axel walking into that on that video, to me, looked like they had no intention of peace. They had demands.
That
and
is the consensus of everybody that was there.
there was no okay, listen. It was complete. They'd made up their minds that Jaeger was involved in this explosion, which, whether or not he is, should not have attributed to their actions during that negotiation. There was no sense of, hey, listen, you're the leader of a nation here, and we have our own nation, and we're worried that we've got reason to believe that explosives coming from your place into our place, so we're looking to cooperate so that we can stop that from happening. There was no kind of sense of working together. It was just demand, demand, demand. I think I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's been the amount of communication that, like, me and Libby, for example, have had is zero.
Yeah,
Nothing.
it's been terrible. I think Toretti's probably had the same, and Tessa.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I have communication is because I'm on duty at the same time of day, and I just happen to be there.
Yeah, I figured as much.
I mean, I was at the FIB building, and I'm the one that told Axel to get the senator, and I said, call me when he's around, and it ended up being me actually checking and seeing that he was talking with MCU and them. He could have been there for 10 minutes or an hour. I don't know. They did not contact me. So.
Okay. Honestly, I really don't want to be. You know what? I do. We have to take some drastic action here. We need to cut MCU out of this now. This is no longer an investigation. If this is a military scale operation that PD are being called to fight, then MCU is no longer needed, and I think Brian should be out of the equation. Whether or not that's is Axel going to be willing to hear that out? He needs to be. He's a sergeant. Like, he needs to step in line.
Yeah, I agree. They can be involved in the operation, or we could use them for what they're good at, for like reconnaissance, and they can be utilized as like undercover because that's what they specialize in, and using that stuff. But actually
Even
running it, I don't know. It kind of
like
blew my
drone
mind
operators, that kind of thing.
It blew my mind that I was, tasked with running this evasion, and then I get told that Brian was the one in talks with Noose about the equipment. Like, why? Why am I not the one in those talks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's literally your bread and butter. I don't understand. Like,
another thing, I would be. Again, this is me moving towards plans, considering this isn't salvageable. I would be very interested in if HV2U get on board in moving temporarily every member of HV2U up to like a sergeant or something, just for the kind of military operation aspect of it. We need your people in leadership positions. If this is going to go to combat and we're going to see action here, then we don't need people that are good at paperwork out over there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is a.
Axel will be around like tsunami time probably, and we can talk to Commissioner then.
Yeah, I'll try and I'll stay around late today.
the chances of you swaying more people to go would probably improve if you also remove Brian from the equation. Because after his behavior yesterday,
yeah, nobody wants to follow him.
Nobody wants anything to do with him. That was, and I am in a 100% agreement. It was disgusting the way that he spoke to people who were supposed to be like fighting alongside. So I think Axel would fare a lot better if he would just remove Brian out of his ear.
Yeah, I would agree. Another thing is, for me personally, I was pretty on the fence, but hearing that Divine might still be held captive over there is one thing that's really swayed me to going. I don't want to. This is not a thing of. I don't want to convince people. I don't want to convince people to go to war, but I want to give them all the information.
I'm not trying to do that either. Yep, I'm the same.
So
the big thing as well that we need to do, Doc, as High Command, is one, we need to rebuild the trust that was broken down yesterday, and we need to really reinforce that at the end of the day, people applied for the police department to patrol the streets of San Andreas, not to go to a foreign island and be a part of an invasion.
No
and
one
if
is
they don't
forced
want
to
to go. That is completely okay.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, when they put out that announcement, MCU were all circle jerking, and they were celebrating who was reacting, and they were comparing it. They were like, "Oh, it's 10 to 20. Oh, it's 15 to 20. Oh, we're getting it. Oh, it's 20 to 23."
What the fuck?
And they were like, "Oh, look who's reacted to it. Look who we got. Look at this team. You know what? If we got these people, then we're okay." Like, it's great to have like that morale, but you don't need to fucking shit on the people that aren't going. Because at the end of the day, we're all cops, and some of us are gonna do this shit, and some of us aren't. Damn it. Sorry, I'm exploring the conflict of the MDW, trying to give someone a tag.
Have you eaten?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you still good on food, Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that confirmed about Divine? Well, that's confirmed that he might be over there.
Jaeger said yesterday, if you want me to get Devon, I could show him to you.
Yeah, but that he didn't state whether it was dead or alive.
Either way.
Either way.
Do we
he
have
deserves to come
any?
home.
Yeah. Do we have any PD intelligence about him still being there or being off the island or anything?
Not that I know. I met with Divine 5 to 6 weeks ago, and he gave me a rundown of how they operate, what it's like, what we're up against, the terrain, the environment. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, positive thing. Etta was telling me that the Senate have put into place about not only is it 30 years, treason, but all assets seized. That's hopefully going to dissuade some of the idiots who want to go join them. It's probably not going to do much, but it might, because at the end of the day, I said it to Etta, it's only going to matter if we catch them. And
yeah,
one thing I worry about is I feel we are not going to succeed here if we go in guns blazing. Like in every single operation, well, I'm not saying your operations, but large scale things like the Lost MC, it was just, okay, let's just throw bodies at this and see what happens. And that goes badly every time. I don't know.
Yep, I agree.
So this is happening tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
I talked to the senator, and it's probably going to be after the weekend. Tomorrow's too soon.
That's good.
We want to focus on training, getting the correct equipment.
With that being said, Connor, the attack yesterday, did that have anything to do with the Isle, or was that separate?
I believe the attack yesterday was Russians false flagging as a sanguine attack.
Whoa. What attack is this?
So yesterday we are doing parachute training from the Titan, the big fuck off decommissioned AC-130, and we see an Apache helicopter southbound over the Alamo Sea, green camo in color. Try to make contact with it. We try to get towards it. We get whiplash around it, and it arms missiles and opens fires of whiplash, and you are dogfight over the Palomino Highlands, down through Mirror Park, all the way towards the Del Perro Pier, where whiplash was able to take it out. While we were recovering the vehicle, a nuclear submarine pops out the water and sends one right into snow and takes him out of the sky. We don't have Typhoon because the other one was decommissioned, so that was our only missile-capable vehicle. We created a plan where Barrick had a parachute, and he was, when it surfaced, going to send Cyclone 2 into the submarine and create a big enough hole for us to send other submarine units to go through. It was a really cool idea. Snow would have loved it. However, they never surfaced, those fucking cowards. What they did do is they went down, and that's when ATC picked up a new aircraft in our airspace, coming right from Sanguine. It was a a still weaponized Soviet-era fixed-wing jet, mounted machine gun on the lower carrier, and it came straight for our triage of the civilian docks. M4s were authorized. We still had Barrack up in the sky to communicate, but we had to pretty much cover all of La Puerta, Marion Turner Overpass, and the general area around LSA with M4 certified officers opening fire on it until the pilot decided to use the jet as a weapon and fly it into Marion Turner Overpass. He jumped out and parachuted, and we were able to get right behind the guy, and he jumped in the water, scubaed away, and we didn't find him. We received multiple 911s in Russian, stating things like close but no cigar. And we believe that because of the weapons and the aircrafts and the style of attack, it is the Russians we've been consistently seeing over the last year, not people from Sanguine. And they were trying to get us to see they're coming from Sanguine and then use that to make us do like a false invasion.
What's the? It's gonna be a weird question. What's the information security on that? Is that the kind of thing that people would have been able to find out, like about the nuclear submarine, or was that like in an area where no civilians would have seen or anything like that?
What do you mean, like the civilian populace? Would they have seen that submarine?
Yes.
That submarine was on Vespucci Beach by Del Perro.
Okay, so it's possible because when I was on the
Possible,
phone to Trade
but also
today,
unlikely.
he mentioned the incident. So obviously he could be false flagging.
Someone might have talked to him.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. If they've got nuclear submarines, stubble.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, this Rust thing, I had to get clarification on straight away, I'll be honest. I was at the gas station, some bloke pulled up to me. It was one of the Rust guys. I don't know his name. Obviously, saying that stuff got me very concerned very quickly.
What did he exactly say?
He said, he mentioned the war or something, and then he was like, I spoke to Stubble and Axel and Brian yesterday. So how much are you going to pay us? And I was like, what do you want about?
I think it's really cool that somebody told that guy that those are 3 people heavily involved in this operation.
Yeah, he definitely said Stubble and Axel. I can't confirm Brian. I can't remember exactly. We just said Stubble and Axel, so
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. But obviously, I mean, to be fair, your name being brought up, I was going to say LSPN video, but Brian and Axel were the only ones visible.
I try to stay away from that shit.
Oh, I thought you said, oh, never mind.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that's not happening.
You okay with me renaming the senior deputy and senior officer rank on the ranks the back end to corporals, and then everybody's rank should automatically update? I feel like that's a smart thing to do rather than making a new corporal rank.
That is a smart thing to do. Let's just hope it doesn't break. But yeah, go for it.
We'll test it with senior deputies, so then if it breaks, then the LSPD's okay, and they can blame me for it.
Okay, all right. What the fuck is...
TJ is going off. But, I mean, he ain't wrong. Did you get enough sleep, Connor?
No, not really. I slept from tsunami until 3 hours after tsunami.
Oh. Yeah, so I woke up at Tsunami and was like, okay, no, I'm going back to bed.
Oh, it worked.
Oh, good.
Who's the Commandant and his Legion of Iniquity? Where is that?
Huh? Who?
What?
That was in the legislation of the Sanguine legislation. It said access to the Sanguine Isle from the state of San Andreas is controlled by the Commandant and his Legion of Iniquity.
So
I
I'm
assume that's
guessing the
Jaeger.
Commandant would be Jaeger.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you mentioned to me about Bass and Brian going to the place. What was that about?
what do you mean?
Didn't you mention to me the other day that, or was it somebody else, about Bass and Brian going over there and like causing
No.
problems? No, not
No, it
Bass.
must have been somebody else.
Sorry, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Maybe the new commission. No, maybe it was Bass. I don't know.
I don't know anything
There
about
was some
them
shit
going
with
over there.
Clarkson. I don't know
What about
it was.
Clarkson?
I don't know.
Oh, his mobility scooter.
He was
What?
really upset yesterday. Oh yeah, that's probably something happened in the FIB building. Because Brian had subpoenaed some people. He had Clarkson's text, and then he made Clarkson come to the front and read his text with Jaeger while making the guy cry. It was
Yeah.
not cool.
So he's been accessing people's text messages without notifying them.
Well, I think he subpoenaed Jaeger and then got the
Is that
other
what
side
it
of-
was? Oh, okay.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah, sounds like Brian's really enjoying his position currently. I don't like Conan at the best of times, I'll be honest.
Listen, like I said, it is a sad fucking day when Conan Clarkson is one of the voices of actual reason.
Yeah.
This goddamn Harvey guy, he wants his photo updated, but it's a shit photo.
Holden?
Yeah. This is so tedious.
No, the
Dog, you been
MDW is...
trading on this MDW shit?
Yeah, it's garbage.
conflict-
It's absolute
uh,
garbage.
I understand why badges are so slow now, because Jesus Christ.
The issue with this invasion is I really don't see an end, because like we have to just like realistically there is always going to be people who are going to be trying to stop us from searching everything, and like it's not going to end until either everybody's dead or in prison. And I hate that. Like, it's not like we can just go in, get Divine out, and just leave. They want all the explosives and everything.
Yeah. They want it all. It's all or nothing.
Yeah. All of the equipment, all of the ordnance, all of the machines that help manufacture.
What's Snow doing? I know Snow wanted to talk. I don't know what he's doing right now. Wait, I want
A
to...
lot of talking today. And preparations at the same time. And I don't know. I think we just need to make sure we're unified on the whole that nobody's forced for the shit. And nobody should be belittled. Nobody should be insulted. And if we're doing this, we're doing it right. That's the big thing that we talked about yesterday with the fact that Axel wanted us to negotiate on the island. That was a big no. Because if it gets to that fight, I don't want people having L1 over there and a fucking, like, FN's at 5.7, right? Like, we need the goddamn snipers. We need the Mark 3s. We need the stun grenades. We need the tanks, the jets. We need the armed helicopters. Like, this needs to be done right.
We need some decent medical equipment. Like,
Yeah.
we have just
I think the plan is
iPads.
to like try and get the aircraft carrier into essentially like a small little triage hospital, and then you're gonna have life
Forward
flight going from island to the aircraft carrier, and then another life flight from aircraft carrier to SMH.
Yeah, because apparently 20 EMS are volunteering to go. So
Yeah, they are volunteering to go as medics. Yes, they have been firearm trained, but that is a last resort where I'm only giving them Glocks, and it's if they're under attack and they need to. These fucking bozos.
Right.
It's like they're under attack, they need to stand down. We're not going to send them to be a part of the invasion. They're going to be well behind the front line, giving people treatment.
Yeah.
And that's also a thing the senator said, is that everybody will be equally treated. The people of Sanguine, they're going to be treated like 95s in our custody. We are going to get them treated if they're hurt. Like, it's going to be ugly, but they still have a right to getting treated.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go find Harvey and show him these 2 badges I made.
Okay. I appreciate the catch up, Sybil.
Yeah, if there's anything else,
Oh.
I'll be around all day.
Yeah, of course.
Richard, that reminds me. Can you confiscate the 5.7 on me, please?
Would you have a 5.7?
I was part of the EMS gun training, and that was given to me. I was told to hold on to it for the negotiations, but then everything kind of devolved from there. So it's at the bottom of my pocket.
You can keep it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wartime. Wouldn't be surprised if we get martial law in the next couple of days.
Also, can I say that shooting with that is nice?
It's a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I need to
So how do you feel after talking to him?
worse. Because I know it's gonna happen. And I know that me and Stubble and Spence and Snow are gonna be the people, I guess Toretti, are gonna be the ones picking up the pieces here. And try and keep people alive. While also trying to manage a well-executed invasion of a sovereign state for the extraction of, kidnapped officer and, the explosives and who knows what else. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to do some MDW stuff. I might as well
That's
give myself
fine.
a bit of a break.
I'm not in any hurry. I'm just here because I would just be sitting here doing nothing anyways. So at least this way I'm not getting taken hostage. It's like given Indy's history and whatnot, she's really amazing.
Yeah, I didn't like her choice of partner, I'll be honest, but
Yeah, but
she's done a lot for this city.
she's very good at speaking. She has great ideas for helping people, and more than once now, in the short time that we have been together, she has put my safety above hers.
Yeah, she's pretty well, she's on the right side of things. I think she's she's a very good person, regardless. FTO officer. I feel bad that I've kind of left Stubble on his own for all of this for the most part.
It is what it is. Everybody needs their breaks so they don't break.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. What
But at least now you can come into this fresh, so.
Yeah, fantastic. What a nice welcome back. Whoa.
Welcome back. Here is some war.
Yeah, over the next few days, we're probably going to have to set up a meeting with the mayor's office to kind of put in some plans, contingency plans and safety plans. If anything were to happen, like, for example, questions like if they start bombing the city, where's the mayor going to go?
Yeah.
Like, what's her plan to stay alive so that she can run the city? We've got to make sure we have somewhere for her to go. We need to make sure we need to get people on escort duty or security for you and the mayor's office. We need to.
Apparently Lily is tasked with the security details, but then she only knew of the mayor. But Andy told me last night at the meeting that it's all government officials, so judges, deputy mayors especially, and her.
Okay. Yeah. Also, we like deciding on once kind of high command lock in who's going, who's not going. There needs to be contingencies should we not come back. Who is replacing us? Same with kind of who is running the PD while we're not here.
But you're gonna come back, right?
Yeah, but obviously plans still need to be made. So.
Okay.
Sorry, this is a lot. Oh, there, I found it. So I remember we had a conversation like a month or two ago, and you were kind of getting stressed out because of the mayor's office. Then you quit Harmony. How have you been finding everything?
Well, I struggled a lot after leaving Harmony. I had a lot of time on my hands. Everybody that I knew pretty much stopped talking to me. Others just straight up betrayed me. So I was without purpose, without friends. And I tried really hard not to put too much on Barrick because, you know, he's had his own shit to deal with. And but then, you know, I kind of focused on the deputy mayor stuff. I became friends with Kiki. And then Shirley. I don't know if you know Shirley Lemons.
Yeah, I know Shirley.
And then also there's a Dr. Annie Oman. So the three of them have been kind of constants for me. They reach out to me without me having to always reach out to them, and genuinely care, you know, about me and ask me how I'm doing and tell me that they love me. Then, you know, I decided to join EMS because when I first came to the city, I wanted to open up a flower shop and I wanted to help people. You know, I wanted to do what I'm doing now when I first came to the city. But then I started working at Harmony and I had to adjust and change to enforce the rules there. And I became somebody that I really didn't like. So now I've been working very hard to get back to the person that I was when I first came to the city. The one who always sees the good in people, the one who always wants to help people. So yeah, EMS, deputy mayor. I have my business now. Jason hired me onto the workshop, so I'm working a lot with the storefronts and things like that, helping people, you know, realize their dreams with their own businesses. I'm just focusing on helping others and being there for my friends. Barrick and I have been going through a bit of a rough patch.
Oh no, what's happened?
He got kind of distant. And then he stopped telling me that he loved me. But we had a conversation. I gave him the out, but he didn't want it. So we discussed what we wanted from each other, and neither of us wanted it to end. So, and it's been better. So the problem is that Barrick has a tendency to take on the blame or feel guilty for things that he really has no control over. He felt responsible for the alienation that I received after leaving Harmony. He felt responsible for the way that I was treated to get me to decide to leave Harmony. But it really had nothing to do with him. It all stemmed from, remember the argument I got into with Raccoon on Father's Day when y'all were there at the shop and he kept pestering to be adopted as the grandson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, all of that led to me talking shit. And so Miguel threatened me that I better keep my fucking mouth shut, basically.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, well, if the group that's supposed to be protecting this place is openly threatening me at the workplace, then I don't need to be here any longer. So that's what made me leave. And it had nothing to do with him. And he felt that I was happier before him. But now that I have found my footing and my purpose here in the city, I'm happier now than I've ever been, because I'm actually getting to do the things that I've always wanted to do.
I'll be honest, it's what you do best. Take care of people.
I'm trying. I feel that sometimes I'm a little too emotional.
Nah, that's a shame.
Well, I mean, do you remember Johnny Sinner?
The porn star.
No.
I remember him. How can you forget Johnny Sinner?
I don't think it's Sinner. I think that's somebody else.
Oh,
But
all right.
so Johnny Sinner was part of Sessanta Nove. He was probably one of my first friends when I came to the city. He was not nice to a lot of people, but he was always there every morning to greet me. He'd always bring me food and coffee, ask me how I was doing. He would keep me company when I was alone at the shop. But then I started hearing about the way that he treats other people. And, you know, after a while, we parted ways because I couldn't condone that kind of behavior, right? And then he disappeared for like almost a year. He showed back up not too long ago. And the first time I saw him, I was on shift as EMS, and I was removing taser prongs. And then my next call was him seizing in the cells. And when we got there, he had stopped breathing. We got him to the hospital, and he died in front of me. So yesterday was my first shift back at EMS since then. And then I had to listen to Barrick get shot down by that nuclear sub.
Yeah.
And now he wants to go to war.
I think this is one thing I'm going to try and emphasize with everybody. Nobody wants to go to war. People have their own reasons, but nobody really wants to go to war. They want to fight for their country, or they want to help people. They want to stabilize and uproot corruption and evil people, but nobody wants to go to war. They all have their own reasons, and I'm sure Beric has his, and I imagine you're probably part of his reasons. So...
yeah. All I know is that, I mean, I've told you about my father.
yeah.
I just don't want to have to say goodbye to anybody else.
You're not gonna have to. All right. If Barrett goes, then I'll make sure